What's up, guys? First and foremost, TACTACAM giveaway. Like, comment, subscribe. You're entered. November 15th, we're giving one away. One of you lucky viewers is going to win a TACTACAM. Number 2, booking season. We are booking client visits right now all over the country. We'll learn how to food plot better, learn how to where to hang your tree stands, timber stand improvement, how to make money on your property, where your trail cameras need to go. Lay it all out so that you can out-hunt your neighbors and pull the biggest deer in the neighborhood. That's what we're here to help with. Shoot me an email, whitetaillandmanagement@gmail.com. Let's get into the video. How to stop spooking deer. This is one of those topics, like, we like to get in the weeds sometimes, and we don't necessarily always just think about the basics. And this is one of those things that I find a lot of clients are not paying attention to, and this is the time of the year in which you can get away with murder, haha, to a certain extent, because deer are starting to get a little bit silly and get a little bit crazy, rutting, and just they don't really care because they only get to breed one time a year. But at the same time, you should still take precautions if at all possible. Now, we're not going to sit here and talk about the ultimate scent control and your ozonics and stuff like that, guys. I don't necessarily feel like those are game changers for anybody. But the one thing that I really think is a game changer is understanding how to access on your property. So we're going to talk about one of my properties today and how I like to access on this property. Wind direction is one of the biggest things that I think about, but there are other factors. So on this given property, it's hard to say how many access points we technically have, but I could pretty much come in from 3 out of the 4 corners or sides of the property. The thing that's nice about that when either purchasing a property or hunting a new property or you know, looking for a new property, anything like that, is that you can always kind of put the wind in your favor, and maybe J-hook a little bit, or maybe you don't even have to because you have these access points, and then insert yourself into the stand. So the one thing that I always tell clients is that if you have trouble with figuring out how to access a stand, look at that map before you go out and say, I think this deer is bedded here. Now, what do I need to do? What access route do I need to take to make sure that my wind direction, even while walking, never crosses into that area, and that my ground scent never crosses a point where he would pick me off before he got to my stand location? Those are the basic concepts right there, guys. So I'm thinking about one of my farms, and I'm thinking about, you know, I got good northeast access, good northwest access, and good southwest access. Those are probably the ones that are most important to me, if I had to be honest with you. And because I have those access points, I don't need to necessarily J-hook as much. And when I say J-hook, it's kind of like starting at a location, but then walking the property line, and maybe you walked all the way around just to insert yourself into a tree stand because you had an oddball wind or something like that, guys. So the one thing that I definitely think about is wind direction. And I have another property that I recently purchased, and that one I can only access from the south edge. So how do I hunt a southwest wind? Well, hopefully I have a trail that's created on the easterly edge of it, and I can go all the way up that easterly edge, just a little bit of westerly blowing onto the neighboring property, go up to the top and insert myself in, kind of like the letter M. You know what I'm saying? Go all the way up that easterly side and insert my way in. So that's how I would use wind. But another thing that I like to use is the concept of thermals, guys. So if I see the wind direction is under 7 miles an hour, especially under 5 miles an hour to calm, that will change my access direction or access path when going into a stand, especially in the early morning hours. Now, I do keep it in mind what's going to be happening around 8, 9 a.m. is when the thermals are going to start rising. So I need to keep that in mind for the actual stand location. But getting into it, I need to remember that thermals are dropping in those wee hours of the morning, you know, the 4 or 5 a.m.s before the sun ever comes up. So the simple concept of thermals, guys, is it's what carries your scent when the wind is low or dead, okay? And thermals always drop in the evening, and they always rise in the mornings. But that rise generally takes place around sunrise. So your thermals are still technically dropping early in the morning. So now if I have a big ridge system that I'm looking to hunt and I'm accessing from the south edge of my property on a very light and variable northwest wind, I'm going to keep those thermals in mind. Those thermals should also be pulling back in that direction down the ridge. So think about wind direction, but also think about thermals, guys. So at the end of the day, here's what I want you to do when accessing the property. Every morning, every evening before you head out, I want you to look at that map, and maybe it's because of prior scouting in the preseason or in-season scouting, or where you saw a deer, or maybe there's a good topo feature, a good vantage point up on top of a ridge system, whatever it is. Look at that map and say, where do I think that deer is bedded today off my most recent trail camera photos or whatever. And don't go chasing trail cameras, by the way. He was already there. So anyway, think about where he is. And think about the wind direction next. And then think about your thermals next. And say, how do I get to that point, or to where my tree stand location is, without my wind and or thermals blowing into that general area? Because if it does, you educated that deer before he ever got to you. And also, think about where you walk. If you have to walk on a trail that he's going to cross 100 yards before he ever gets to you, don't even go out. The hunt's over. He caught your ground scent. He turned around. He probably went back into the bedroom. We educated him. Next thing you know, he moves off farther away. We never end up killing him, guys. So at the end of the day, those are the things that I'm paying attention to when even accessing my own personal farms.